So, the movie begins by telling us about a place located between mountains and water. A place where the idol of Lord Lalok had existed for centuries. Lord Lalok, who was considered the god of water and lightning. One day, some engineers and people from the archaeology department came and started excavating the site, and they began taking the massive idol of Lord Lalok with them to Mexico City. Upon seeing the huge idol of Lord Lalok, the people of Mexico City were also very happy, and everyone started gathering to see the idol. A few days later, the idol was placed in a spot and a museum was built there. Next, we are shown a child named Juan, whose father was holding him in his lap to take a photo, and Juan's mother was clicking the picture. The story is about this child named Juan, and it is based on a true event. Juan was now grown up, and he started working with the photographer at this same museum so he could arrange for his drug habit. The photographer with Juan was meticulously taking photos of every object in the museum for 3 months, and during this time, Juan was keeping an eye on the minute details of the museum. Next, Juan was in his room with his friend, Benjamin Wilson, and Juan said to Wilson, "I will have a cube on my head. You will shoot at it with this arrow. I want to see if I can trust you." Juan then stood with the cube on his head, and Wilson started aiming at him. Wilson's hands were trembling, and he released the arrow. Just then, Juan ducked, and Juan angrily said to Wilson, "Were you going to aim for my eye? I thought I trusted you, and you were shooting me." Just then, Juan's sister came in and said, "You've been called outside." Juan then went outside and started watching TV with the children. Just then, Juan's mother came and said to him, "Aren't you leaving? Julio is waiting for you outside for the Santa Claus costume." Juan then went to a shop to get his Santa Claus costume tailored. At the same time, news was being reported on TV. The Anthropology Museum will be closed for a few days. The museum will be closed from today until January 5th because work is underway to install a new ventilation system in the museum. Seeing this news, Juan told the tailor, "I need to make an urgent call. I'll be right back." And he went outside and started calling his friend Wilson. But Wilson didn't answer the call. Things like duct tape, copper wire, clay, and many other small items. When Juan was small, Juan's grandfather used to give gifts to the children after Christmas dinner. But after the grandfather's death, Juan now had to do this job every year. And Juan did not like this job at all. Juan went to his father's clinic for a checkup, and Juan's father said, "Your blood pressure is quite high. I'm writing some medicine for you. You should take it." Juan asked his father, "Dad, I have very urgent work after Christmas dinner. Can I have your car?" Juan's father asked, "Will you be present at dinner tonight? Did you get your suit tailored?" Juan said, "Yes, I got it tailored." Then Juan's father, handing him the car key, said, "See you this evening. Get the tank full." Going outside, Juan took the phone from the reception and called his friend Wilson, saying, "We have to do the job tonight." Wilson said, "But it's Christmas tonight. You said we would only do the job on December 31st. Juan said, "I just saw the news. Repair work in the museum will start from tomorrow, and workers will be present in the museum from tomorrow." Wilson said, "How can I do it today? I have dinner with my dad today, and the doctor said this might be his last Christmas." Juan said, "I don't care about anything. We have to do the job tonight." In the evening, Juan's entire family and his relatives were present at his house. They were all quite happy about having dinner with the family. But upstairs, Juan was packing some items in a bag, and he started to leave with the bag. Just then, Juan's sister stopped him and asked, "Where are you going? Dad is calling you. The whole family is downstairs, and what are you doing upstairs? Aren't you happy?" Then Juan said, "It's Christmas. What's there to be happy about?" Juan's sister said, "You have such a big family. Many people don't have a family. You should be happy about this." Then Juan said, "Let me go. You smell bad." Saying this, Juan went downstairs and placed the bag there. Downstairs, the whole family sat down for dinner, and Juan also sat among them. They all started talking to each other, and Juan waited for when he could get up and leave. A little later, Juan got up and went to the storeroom to collect more items. Just then, a child came up and said to Juan, "They are calling you for a photo." Juan said to the child, "I'll be right there." "Do you know where the Santa Claus presents are?" "The Santa Claus presents are kept behind this cloth." Juan also started showing the child the children's names written on the present boxes and said, "Now, you go from here. I saw your mom coming." Juan left from there, and the child started opening the gift box. Later, the child went outside and told all the other children about the gifts. And all the children went into the storeroom and started opening their gifts. At the same time, Juan's sister came there and angrily asked the children, "Who told you about the gifts?" One of the children said, "Juan told me." He said, "This is your gift, take it." Hearing this, Juan's sister went outside and started yelling at Juan. And she told Juan's mother, "Your son told the children that there is no Santa Claus, and he also showed the children the presents." Then, all the family members started getting angry at Juan, and Juan said, "I didn't tell them anything." Then some of Juan's cousins were ready to hit Juan, but Juan's mother stopped them. A little later, Juan took the car and left for Wilson's house. And upon reaching Wilson's house, Juan saw that Wilson's dad was on oxygen and watching TV, while the whole city was celebrating Christmas. Wilson's house was deserted. Seeing this, Juan started to leave. Just then, Wilson came in front of his car and sat inside. Juan said, "I thought you wouldn't come." Saying this, they both got into the car and started driving towards the museum. And Juan stopped the car near the museum and said, "After this point, we can't back out." Wilson said, "I'm ready." They both got closer to the museum and crossed the wire fencing. In the office of the museum's main door, there were guards who were talking to each other. Juan and Wilson then lay low and passed near that office, and the guards didn't even notice. They both reached the gate leading inside the museum and saw that a guard was present there. After the guard left, they both reached the door, and Wilson started opening the glass door leading inside the museum. Wilson knew how to make a key for the lock, so he made a key and opened the lock, and they both quietly opened the glass door and went inside the museum. First, upon entering the museum, they looked at an artifact kept inside a glass case, and after that, they removed the wood surrounding the glass and hammered small nails around the glass and wrapped copper wire around all the nails. After this, they started pouring a liquid around the nails, and they connected the copper wire to the current. As soon as they did this, smoke started coming out from all around the glass, and due to the combination of the current and the liquid, the glass started melting from the bottom. After the glass melted, they picked up the glass box and placed it aside, and they picked up the artifact kept inside, wrapped it in cloth, and kept it with them. In the same way, they removed the glass cases of other artifacts and took many artifacts from there and put them in their bags. These artifacts were all very valuable and had been preserved for years. But Juan and Wilson made all the artifacts in the entire museum disappear. After that, they both looked at a large headdress. Wilson asked Juan, "Do we have to take this too?" Juan said, "No, we don't have to take this. It's from Austria." Wilson said, "No matter where it's from, should we care?" At that moment, the lights of the museum turned on, and the whole museum was illuminated. Juan and Wilson got scared and hid there. Two guards came into the museum, talked, and then went back outside. Juan and Wilson heard the sound of the gate closing, and in a little while, the museum lights also turned off. Wilson and Juan went outside, and saw that a thick lock had been placed on the main door of the museum with a chain. Seeing this, they both started thinking about what they would do now, because they were trapped inside the museum, and they saw a ventilation duct inside the museum. They both took the artifacts and started going outside through the ventilation duct. Because the museum was quite old, the condition of the ventilation duct was also very poor. The ventilation duct was very narrow, so Juan started having trouble breathing. Even so, they somehow got out of the museum, took the car from there, and drove off. And Juan started feeling very happy that they had finally done it. At that moment, Wilson said, "I need to use the bathroom," and Wilson stopped the car, got out, and ran off. Juan also got out of the car and started looking for Wilson. Then Wilson called out to Juan. Wilson was urinating on a monument there and said, "I always wanted to do this." Seeing Wilson, Juan said, "I'm going to do this too." They both started urinating, and Wilson asked, "What are we going to do next?" Juan said, "We will talk to Bosco, and he will help us sell these artifacts." Juan went home and fell asleep, and when he woke up in the morning, the first thing he did was get up and look at the artifacts he had stolen from the museum. Juan got up and went downstairs with the bag, and he saw that everyone in his house was watching TV downstairs, and the news about the stolen artifacts from the museum was being reported on TV. Wilson was also standing there, and he also looked at Juan. The news on TV was reporting, "Thieves robbed the museum last night, and they easily stole many artifacts. Many of these artifacts were very old and valuable. The police believe that the thieves must be linked to cultural trafficking gangs. This one robbery has scared museums all over the world. These thieves are the enemies of all of Mexico, and this incident is quite shameful." After watching this news, Juan's father said, "Those were not ordinary artifacts. They were our cultural heritage. Whoever did this should suffer badly. Both their past and future should be ruined. They have pushed the future of this country into darkness. If the thieves are caught, they should be hanged in the squares, and should not be taken down until every last drop of blood drains from their bodies." Saying this, Juan's father got up and left from there, and Juan and Wilson looked at each other. Next, Juan started cleaning the artifacts. Then Wilson asked him, "Aren't you scared? Should we return all of this to the museum? If we leave everything at the museum door, no one will know anything." Juan said, "Are you crazy? We're going to sell all this to Bosco, just like we agreed before. He will take this from us and send it to his client, and the matter will end here." Wilson and Juan took the car and started driving to another city, and on the way, they were stopped by army personnel. The army personnel asked for their IDs and asked, "Do you have marijuana?" Wilson replied no, and the army personnel said, "You will have to come out. We need to search the car." They both got out of the car, and the army personnel started searching their car. The army personnel also looked at their bag, inside which they found the artifacts. But the army personnel didn't understand what these things were. And one of the army personnel got out of the car and asked, "Do you guys collect handicrafts?" Wilson replied, "Yes." Then that army personnel looked at Juan and said, "You look quite familiar. Are you a famous actor?" Juan said no. Then that army personnel said, "You're lying. Come on, give me an autograph from my girlfriend on this paper." The army personnel let Juan and Wilson go, and they left from there. They both went to a heritage site in another city to inquire about Bosco. They then found out that there was no guy named Bosco there, but there was a guy named Chunik. Chunik was telling some tourist about history. At the same time, Wilson and Juan went and sat down there. Chunik said to them both, "This group is already complete, and they have already paid, so you cannot stay with them." Then other tourists sitting there said, "We don't have any problem. They can stay with us too." Hearing this, Chunik started telling them about history as well, and Chunik took them inside a pyramid and started telling them about a grave. As they were about to leave, Juan and Wilson stopped him and said, "We need to talk to you." Actually, Chunik's name was Bosco, who had told Juan to steal the artifacts from the museum, and that he would sell them. But now Bosco, meaning Chunik, was denying it. Next, Juan and Wilson were at Bosco's house, and Bosco was telling Juan, "I won't be able to help you with this." Juan said, "You said you know a Mr. Graves who can buy all this. If you don't help us, we will go to Papa Soap," Bosco said, "and after that, you'll go straight to jail. Papa Soap is the king of this world. He will take everything from you and send you to jail." Juan said, "That's why we came to you. Help us." Next, Juan showed Bosco the artifact he had stolen from the museum, and Juan asked Bosco, "Now tell me, will you help us?" Wilson and Juan left Bosco's house, and they had also consumed a lot of drugs, and the government had published news in the newspaper. A $50 million reward would be given to anyone who helped locate the artifacts. Interpol was also now involved in the museum theft case. Juan tore off the newspaper clipping and kept it with him. Juan and Wilson had been staying there for a day or two, and one morning, Bosco came to Juan's tent and said, "A man named Frank Graves has arrived. He will meet us on Friday. Now we should leave." Bosco took them both in the car and started leaving from there, and the news was on the radio. Security had been doubled at train stations, naval ports, and airports to prevent the smuggling of those artifacts. Wilson and Juan both got dressed up for the meeting. Just then, Wilson came into the car and told Juan, "My dad has been taken to the hospital." Hearing this, Juan said, "It's just for tonight. We will leave somehow tomorrow. Tomorrow we will have money, and you'll be able to get your dad treated at the best possible hospital. You can't leave me alone right now. Come and sit quietly in the car." Hearing this, Wilson quietly came and sat in the car. Bosco took Wilson and Juan to Mr. Graves' house. Inside, a man named Frank Graves met Wilson and Juan, and Bosco, upon seeing some artifacts in Graves' house, sighed, "This is a new piece from Tickle, from the 400 AD era." Frank said, "Yes, you recognized it correctly." Bosco said, "Every artifact from Tickle is in someone's private collection. No one can see these Tickle artifacts except the owner's friends." Then Frank said, "So, you're starting to think like Indiana Jones again, that these artifacts should be in a museum." Next, Frank said to Juan and Wilson, "Have you heard of Belzoni?" Belzoni, who was a 19th century explorer. He discovered many temples and tombs in Egypt, Bosco said, and whatever artifacts he found, he sold them to people, considering them his own. And believe me, the British Museum was built with stolen goods just like this, Frank said. All museums were built this way, even Mexico's Anthropology Museum. Let's forget all this. You came to show me something. Tell me, what did you bring with you? Then Juan said, "We have 140 pieces of artifacts that we want to sell to one buyer." And Juan and Wilson showed Frank some artifacts. Looking at those artifacts, Frank asked, "How much money do you need?" Juan said, "We want to sell the whole lot, not piece by piece." Frank said, "So tell me the price of the whole lot." Juan said, "Our boss wants $1 million for this whole lot." Frank said, "And how did your boss estimate the value of all this at $1 million? To be honest, I find it very strange that a man sent you to kids with all these artifacts to deal with them. How dare you?" Then Juan stood up and said, "We're not selling you anything fake. All these artifacts are absolutely genuine. We stole them from the museum. You can inspect all these artifacts closely if you want." Frank said, "I understood they were all genuine just by looking at them. The mask you showed is the real mask of King Pakal. I have never seen such a mask in the world. Now listen carefully to me. You cannot sell all this. Any fool in the artifact business would buy all this from you. Do you understand what I'm telling you? All these pieces are unsaleable. You won't be able to sell them anywhere. Some people who might want to take the artifacts from you would be thieves like you. They just need to make one phone call. They must be coming after you. So leave here as soon as possible." Leaving from there, Juan called his house, and his sister answered the call. Juan's sister told him, "Dad is very angry with you. You took his car. He has filed a report for car theft." Juan said, "But the car wasn't stolen." Juan's sister said, "If it's not known where the car is, then it's stolen." Then Juan said, "**, tell me the name of Papa Soap's club in Acapulco." Juan's sister said, "Heaven's Gates." Now Juan and Wilson started driving towards that place in the car, and Wilson said, "I need to go to my dad." At that moment, Juan turned off the car light and said, "Chill. Soon we will be with Pep and take the advance from him and go back home." Just then a car passed by, and Wilson got very scared. And Wilson said to Juan, "I don't want to come with you." Juan said, "Where will you go alone? You are nothing without me. You'll go home and clean your father's mess." Hearing this, Wilson got angry and started fighting with Juan, and Wilson ran away, leaving Juan. Next, Juan located the club named Heaven's Gates and went to meet the man named Papasote. Going into the club, he started watching the dance, and he called the man and said, "Take this money and tell Papasote that Juan is waiting for him." Then that man said, "There is no Papasote here." Saying this, the man left from there. Juan had nothing to do, so he also sat in the club and watched the dance. Just then, some people sitting in front of Juan started grabbing the dancer. Seeing this, Juan also started arguing with them and said, "You shouldn't touch the artist like that." Then those people also started arguing with Juan and began hitting him. Next, Juan was sitting wounded in the artist room. Then the waiter said, "Send him out through the back door, otherwise, those people will kill him." Then an artist gave Juan his bag and said, "You can't fight like this in a bar. This is not an open set where people won't misbehave with us again. I found out that you came here looking for Pep." Juan said, "I came for him." That dancer named Eugenia said, "Pep was killed last year. He was murdered." Hearing this, Juan was shocked. Eugenia said, he had taken a lot of loans and was involved in a lot of things. Hearing this, Juan said, "Can I make a call from your phone?" Eugenia gave permission, and Juan took out the newspaper clipping and started calling the number given on it. The newspaper clipping read, "A 50 million reward will be given to the person who provides information about the stolen artifacts." The number was ringing, but no one was answering the call. Eugenia opened Juan's bag and saw the artifacts inside. Seeing them, Eugenia asked, "Do you sell handicrafts?" And Eugenia started taking drugs from the artifacts. No one was answering the phone, so Juan also took drugs. Eugenia and Juan, both high on drugs, went to the seashore, where they drank and danced while intoxicated. Juan woke up in the morning and saw that he didn't have his bag, which contained the artifacts, and Eugenia was also not with him. Juan started looking for his bag, but he couldn't see the bag anywhere nearby. Seeing this, Juan got worried and started asking the boatmen, "Did you see a red bag here?" They replied no. Then Juan got distressed and started running across the entire beach, searching for the bag. After searching a lot, he noticed the bag with some children playing on the beach, and Juan saw that the artifacts were kept inside the bag, and the children were playing in the sand with those artifacts. Juan thought that he was so close that these artifacts would be lost from his hands forever and perhaps would never be found by anyone. Next, Juan met his friend Wilson at a tourist place. Juan knew his friend would be there. Juan said, "Wilson, we need to hide somewhere. We can't stay here like this." Hearing this, Wilson said, "My dad died, and I wasn't with him in his last moments." Hearing this, Juan said, "I'm sorry, I'm very sad." Wilson asked, "Now tell me, where will we go?" Juan said, "We'll go somewhere and disappear for some time." After some time, Juan reached his house, and he saw a photo of his childhood with his father on the fridge. Juan went to his father's bedroom, and his father asked, "Where have you been all these days?" And Juan's mother said, "Son, what have you done?" Juan's father said, "The police were looking for you. They came here to take you." Saying this, Juan's father came close to Juan and asked, "Tell me what you did." And Juan's mother, who was standing there, started crying. "Son, tell us what you did." Juan's father said, "The officer said you were a suspect in the museum robbery. Tell them the officer was wrong. You didn't do anything like that." Then Juan said, "Dad, he's right. It was me." Hearing this, Juan's father started hitting him and asking, "Tell me why you did this." Juan said, "It's not your fault. It's my fault. I will leave from here forever." Juan's father said, "Where will you go? They are looking for you everywhere. Why did you do this after all? Did you want to impress us? You really impressed us a lot." Hearing all this, Juan hugged his mother and father and started to leave from there. Juan's father decided that they would go and return the artifacts to the museum. Then Juan's father dropped Wilson and Juan off at the museum. And Juan told his father, "Now you leave from here, Wilson." And Juan took the bags full of artifacts and went inside the museum. And Juan gave the bag to Wilson and said, "You stay outside. I'll go inside." Juan went inside and saw that there were a lot of people in the museum. The number of visitors had increased after the theft. People were now coming there to see the empty glass cases. There were no artifacts kept there. There were just empty glass cases, from where Juan and Wilson had stolen all the items. Wilson deposited both bags filled with artifacts at the museum, where visitors' belongings were kept. Juan also saw that a fake mask had been placed where the mask they had stolen was. Seeing this, Juan quietly placed the real mask on the glass case and left. The guard also saw the real mask and informed security. And Wilson saw that the security personnel had become alert about something. Seeing this, Wilson understood why Juan had sent him alone, because Juan didn't want the security personnel to catch Wilson as well. Wilson saw Juan coming towards him. Juan then shook his head, telling him to stay away. And at the same moment, the security personnel came and caught Juan, and the movie ends here. So friends, this movie was based on a true event in 1985. The museum in Mexico was robbed on Christmas night. Tell us how you like this movie in the comment section. Like this video as much as possible. If you like the video, type yes in the comment section and be sure to use the hype option. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.